Okay, this is chapter 54 of The Night Singer. 54. It was 11:45 when Hannah stepped off the bus in Kelva. They had arrived a few minutes early, so the driver sat at the bus stop to wait while she began walking along the edge of the road. The man who had left the bus with her seemed to head off in the other direction. She was roughly halfway home when the bus finally passed her, driving south toward the final stop in Morbalonga with its handful of passengers. The sun had set an hour or so earlier, and it was pitch black, so Hannah pulled out her phone to light the way. She really would have to get herself a small pocket flashlight for exactly this type of situation. As she came around the bend and saw the street light illuminating the village road, she felt a sudden sense of relief. Hannah could still feel the wine in her system. She had drunk almost 3 glasses, which was more than she was used to, and was longing to get home. She would drink a big glass of water and then settle down in front of the TV for an hour. Drown out the knowledge that Daniel was gay with an episode of Outlander. After that, she would go to bed. Hannah sped up. She would never admit to being afraid of the dark, but she had forgotten how different the darkness was here, so compact and heavy compared to Stockholm's. It felt like there was nothing beyond the edges. Her heart skipped a beat as she heard something rustle behind her. Had the man from the bus come the same way after all? She turned around, though she couldn't see anything. So what if he had? Maybe he lived in the village too? Hannah couldn't manage to calm herself. She was convinced the man was after her, that he might even be the person who had been threatening her. All she had to defend herself was her own strength, and that wouldn't count for much if he had a weapon. She had taken a course in disarming techniques, but that was in a brightly lit gym hall, not on a pitch-black country road after 3 glasses of wine. She decided to do the only thing she could. She began running. The pace was far quicker than it should have been, considering she couldn't even see where she was putting her feet, but as long as she stuck to the pavement, she should be okay. Hannah's eyes were locked on the streetlight that seemed to be bobbing up and down. That was where she needed to get to. She tried to listen behind her, but all she could hear was the sound of her own feet on the road, her pulse roaring in her ears. She strayed too far toward the edge of the road and stumbled. In desperation, she staggered forward, convinced she was about to fall, only just regaining her balance at the last moment. Hannah knew she should slow down, but couldn't actually bring herself to do it. The turnoff was only 10 or so meters away now. The sense of relief Hannah felt as she turned off into the village made her sob. There were more lights here, and most of the people who lived in the village still seemed to be up. More importantly, she could both see and cry for help if she needed to. She paused for a long moment, looking back, but if the man was following her, he must have stopped too. Hannah walked quickly through the village. She didn't want to run in case anyone saw her, didn't want to give them any reason to gossip. To be known as the crazy policewoman who sprinted home as though she had the devil breathing down her neck. Before long, she reached her dark house but couldn't bring herself to go inside. What she needed right now was to be with another living person, someone who could reassure her that her fears weren't real. The lights were on in Ingrid's house, so she made her way over there and rang the bell. Ingrid peered out through the kitchen window, and Hannah raised her hand in an awkward wave. The door swung open. With Ingrid, it was always best to simply come out and say whatever was on your mind. I just got off the bus from town, and it felt like someone was following me. I didn't dare go home. Come in, said Ingrid. I was just about to get ready for bed, but that can wait. Hannah cast a quick glance back over her shoulder. The night was full of dark spots and shifting shapes, but it was impossible to tell what was creating them. She stepped inside and locked the door behind her. Want a whiskey? Ingrid asked. Hannah hesitated. She shouldn't really have any more to drink, but right now she needed the alcohol to calm her nerves. Yes, please. I found some Japanese whiskey at the Stemmenbulget in Kalmar. Sounds good. Ingrid told her to sit down in the living room, and after rummaging around in the kitchen, came back carrying a tray with 2 glasses and a bottle. Nika, Hannah read from the label. She took a big sip from her glass. It was good whiskey, deep and not too smoky, just how she liked it. So, what's going on? Ingrid asked. Hannah's fears had already begun to soften at the edges, but she told Ingrid anyway, about the man who had left the bus with her, how she thought he had been following her. What made you think that? Ingrid asked once she finished. Hannah's eyes began to well up. Her grandmother had often done the very thing Ingrid just had, trying to get to the bottom of whatever Hannah was saying, rather than simply accepting it. Because even if she had imagined the man was following her, the voice on the phone hadn't been in her mind. I've been getting threats, Hannah told her. Someone calling me? At first I thought it was Esther's daughter Maria, but I realized today it must be someone else. All I know is that it has something to do with my dad. Ingrid sipped her whiskey. Why would someone threaten you because of him? Because I don't think the truth came out back then, and I need to find out what actually happened. You think your father was innocent? Maybe. I don't know. Hannah fell silent, trying to sort through the chaos of her mind. She just couldn't do it. Ingrid watched her for a moment and then dug up the weak point in her argument. Does anyone else know that you're planning to find out what happened? No. Not even an hour had passed since she'd sent her message to Ove asking to see the investigation report, but she had been receiving calls since Wednesday. Did someone really feel threatened just because she had come back to Oland? Hannah couldn't make sense of it, not until a sudden realization struck her like a punch to the face. Her father might not be innocent, but what if he'd had an accomplice?